G'day and welcome back to The Brink, everybody.
Before we begin, feel free to like, share, subscribe and follow
Why do they have to do that?
because it helps us.
I've never actually liked, shared, and subscribed to anything, to be honest.
Anyway, guys, thanks for your support and more importantly, enjoy the episode.
Hey, you've got really nice hair. Is that... that's what I was going to say. Is that, are they hair extensions?
Let's straight into the hard
real.
questions.
No, but that's, because normally... No, but normally when you're like you're tearing into it like you do.
Yeah, normally it's fake.
Especially people like but people that I'm very close to like have extensions because one or two of them have been they're either alcoholics or other bits and pieces that are going on which is sad. Hey, what a story, you guys, man, unbelievable. And it's a love story as well. That's what's like so nice.
Should we kick into it? And we'll
I'd like to kick into it, David.
Gets a bit crotchety.
Hey, can you move my head so I can see old mate? That's
okay. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good.
Anyway, just before we start, just be as open and like there's no judgment, none of that stuff. Like I've done the same thing you guys have. So Z,
We're just four addicts
we're just four addicts
sitting on a podcast.
Well, I don't know if I'm
He doesn't think he is, but we're going to get to that. He is. He 100% is. Anyway.
So, but thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, guys.
So today's episode is raw, honest, and powerful. We're joined by Danyon and Cole, two people who've both visited the darkest corners of meth addiction and somehow found the strength to claw their way back. This is a conversation about pain, survival, and the long, messy road to sobriety. No fillers, no fluff, just real stories from people who've lived it. If you're struggling or know someone who is, this episode might be the light you need. Welcome, guys. It's a real privilege to have you on board.
Yeah.
Hello.
No worries. Hey, I'm just going to jump straight in there. I for once, I've done some research. Hey, I did pretty good.
I hope to God you did.
No. Once I did some research and I watched, part of your documentary. And this is a love story. Kind of. Isn't it? Well, hey, hopefully you're still in love.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. It hasn't been an easy road, but life isn't, and it's definitely been a big test, especially at the beginning, because we both met in rehab, and obviously they tell you a few things, but one of the main things is not to get into a relationship in rehab, and we did, and it's definitely been up and down, but it's
congratulations first and foremost, because you're engaged now, eh? Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
You go.
Correct.
Well, I was going to say I'd love to get into the dynamics of the relationship, how you guys met and all of that sort of thing. But before we do, it would be interesting to talk obviously about your individual journeys, what got you to where you are now, your journey, and escape from the ravages of meth, I guess. P is as it's called in New Zealand. I don't know if it's called that anywhere else. Is it ice in Australia? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But for the listeners back home, you guys have been clean and sober. Is that Danyon, you said 5 years?
Yeah. Just over 5 years
Congratulations.
now, man. Yeah, it's the longest I've ever been clean and sober.
And you're
since I was
both
a
how old
baby.
now, more or less? Don't feel like you have to answer that, but
In our 30s,
Okay.
in our early
So-
30s.
33, and we have different recoveries in that sense too. Like Danyon's 5 years clean and sober, 100% off everything. I'm coming up 6 years. Oh no, must be just over 6 years. Yeah, but I can still have the odd drink. So we're very different in that aspect. Like I don't get pissed up or anything. I could if I wanted to, but I can and do have the odd beer. So it's cool because we've got very different journeys that took us to using and took us to rehab, and very different journeys keeping us clean, as well as obviously the same journey overall.
Can we talk about those journeys, like when did it start? I guess the spiral into, because it ended up in obviously meth, but did it start with drink or smoking, or like how did it start for both of you, and sort of how old when it started?
Yeah, so for me, it was your typical young Kiwi bloke. It was the alcohol, the marijuana, the experimenting at the beginning, like from 13, 14 years old, just, just getting wasted because everyone else was. And also in high school, I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 12, so it was quite a late diagnosis. So they put me on Ritalin, and when I was in high school, I started selling that Ritalin, so that kind of escalated me to other drugs as well, like swapping my Ritalin for morphine and different bits and pieces. So I was exposed to drugs from quite a young age, and then I think it might have been 17, 18. That's when I was kind of introduced to meth. And then for me, it was, it's a completely, like Cole said, it's complete with two completely different stories. Like for me, I found meth a very internal, like it almost heightened a lot of my senses. It almost made me think like it made me think like I've never fought before. Some good, some bad, mainly bad. And obviously, I'm sure you'd know, Reggie, like the more you kind of stay awake is the more things start to happen that is just, really out the gate. But so for me, it definitely didn't start off with the glass pipe, that's for sure.
See, the difference for me was that that I was like still really athletic and training and stuff, so I never really felt like I was addicted, because when I realised that I needed to get off it, I just got off it. I didn't have to go to rehab. I just stopped. But the thing that I think saved me was that I was riding my bike every day and, still, going to work and doing meetings. So I was a functioning addict, I guess. Well, I didn't think I was it, but I was a functioning person that was using every day. But then I'd come home and I'd be exhausted. And I'd eat and I would go to sleep. So it wasn't affecting me that way.
Oh, wow.
So I was using, but I was still leading a normal life in terms of I was getting good sleep, I was eating properly, I was training. So it kind of like sort of added to my buzz then. But it wasn't until like one day when I looked at a photo of myself and I just was dead, and I went, oh, that was the thing for me, So.
So there was a physical toll, but there must have been some sort of mental toll. Like, were people around you saying you're behaving erratically, or you're more excitable, you're angrier,
No, not really.
Nothing?
Because I was I was doing television. I was, I was on TV every week. I was doing a show with Macca every week. We were I was going away. I even got to the point where I remember I went to the UK. Oh, it's real bad. And I'd melted it down. I had it in an earwax tube, right? So I just drop a bit on my tongue, and then I'd go charging out, and I'd go training, and I'd go filming, and so everything was normal for me. It wasn't the thing that made me stop. Was when I saw the person that I was with, she was going off the rails, so that scared the shit out of me. But it was when I saw this still photograph of myself, and I was just dead. And when I saw that photograph, I'd come off from a TV show and I'd been away for 6 weeks and I hadn't used at all. So I knew I didn't have an issue. And I came back and I saw that photo and I was like, oh, wow, I've got to get out of here. And so I did. But anyway, sorry, it's not about me. Nicole, can you tell us?
So for me, I actually did use and work and stuff for about 2 years as well, and without my family knowing as well, so maybe just didn't get long enough down that journey to get to that point. But so for me, grew up good kid as such, like a little bit naughty at school and back chatting to the teachers and shit, but nothing out of control. College, started a little bit dabbling like in weed. I did get suspended from school for smoking at school sort of shit, but nothing horrendous through college. Normal drinking the odd time, bit of acid, that sort of thing. But I never had big issues with drugs. Like I could smoke weed all the time and it wasn't making my life unmanageable or anything like that. I was in a long-term relationship from 14 years old to 24 years old, and my partner of that relationship, he had broke his back, which is where the meth came into it for us. So he broke his back, he was off work, I was working flat out, so his mate ended up, oh, try this, this will sort of fucking help the pain, and sure enough it did, and yada yada yada. So it led to me telling myself, well, if I don't have more of it, I'm not going to get through the day, as well as help, look after him or whatever, and sort of it just extended from there. And I don't think I realised I had much of a problem until the day when the bro hadn't showed up, who was showing up every day with it. And then I'm going, well, where is he? When's he, coming for a visit? What's going on? And then I'm like, oh, fuck, hold on a minute. Shit, something's going on here. So, yeah, for a while, I was able to hold it down. It was fine, manageable, I guess you could say. Not necessarily eating right, definitely not sleeping right.
So you were like the sleeping thing, that interests me, because it's been really hard to go to work, because I remember a few times that, you used to have to take uppers and downers, right? And this is about the only time that I can remember anybody realising that I might have had an issue. So I went to work one day, and I think I'd had a whole heap of Xanax, and, like you're real woozy on the Xanax. And I remember walking into work and saying something to one of the ladies that worked for me. And I had one of my managers with me, and I thought I said, hey, g'day, how's your day? It's nice to see you again in the morning, like blah, 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 and all I can remember is he put a hand on my back, and he, ushered me upstairs into my office. And he sat me down, he goes, I looked at him and I go, what's the problem? He goes, do you know what you just said then? I went, yeah, I just said, hey, how's your day been? It was cool. He goes, no, you said this. And I was like, what? And he goes, no, bro, like you sounded like a retard. Sorry to, don't want to be cancelled. But that's the thing. So when he told me that, I was like, oh, okay, so maybe, so that to answer your question, that was about the only time that I ever remember being affected.
And we're not wanting to make it about Matthew, but it is an interesting addition to your guys' story, because it's a shared experience. And I can't kind of understand the meth thing, because I never did that. My thing was alcohol, and I think I knew that if I tried that, I would just be right into it. But do you think, Matthew, I've never asked you this, do you think where would you be now if you'd stayed on it? Like if you hadn't stopped?
Oh, bro, you can't be doing that stuff. Like it's like everything. Variety's the spice of life, and everything in moderation. I don't do anything now, which is, I never ever thought in my life I would not drink, smoke, like nothing. I haven't done anything for a long time. And it just comes with age, I guess, too, but I feel better and all that stuff. But if I'd have gone down that track, I knew when I looked at that photo, I knew that the game was up.
Yeah.
Even though I was still functioning and I was still okay, and I was meeting all my commitments. I was making money. I looked successful from the outside, but from the inside, even though like I thought I had it all together, I was running two completely different lives. Like running around with people that were basically drug addicts, and me sort of funding everything, and funding other people's lifestyles and stuff, and then coming out and having a normal, what looks like a normal successful career, but I was like leading a double life, But
it's just interesting that you say you stopped cold turkey, you had no issue. Yeah. And Cole, it sounds like, the dealer didn't turn up and you started experiencing discomfort immediately. So like the actual experience of being on meth, like I don't know if you want to even talk about that, but it's kind of useful to people at home to understand why it's so alluring, why it keeps you coming back. Like, what does it do? And what is it like when it's taken away from you? Like, is it physical pain? Is it emotional? Is it like just the nuts and bolts of it? Because if you can't understand that, you can't really empathize, right?
Good question.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to go first there?
Yeah, I think for me, like I said, before I got onto the meth and stuff like that, I was escaping reality, and that's what I really tie it to. Once I found meth, I was really escaping reality because I wasn't sleeping and eating. Like I went really into that bad kind of lifestyle, like lack of self-care, because I already kind of, I hated myself. So that drug kind of fueled me to really just drive my life right into the ground and sit in these dingy fucking meth caves and just basically fester and hate, So for me, I become really reliant on it to the extent that I would you know, I would steal off friends and help them look for it. Like I
What?
was that piece of shit, and you know, I don't
Hang
like
on,
to
hang on,
admit
hang on.
that stuff.
So you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
money
no,
off them and then
yeah.
help them look for it. But that's what
Yeah.
it's kind of what
Yeah.
happens, I guess. So the difference, I think, the difference between us was that I you know, like I had a reasonable supply of money, you know, like so that wasn't an issue. Whereas I think for a lot of people that get, you know, stuck on that drug, because you can't hold down a job after a while, you know, you get sacked and then you're still on the drugs. So it forces you into a life of sort of crime, or definitely dishonesty, right, to keep funding your habit, okay? So don't, you know, like, yeah, it's pretty shitty, but... Right.
But we all do shitty things,
Yeah.
like, you know, when you come out of, you don't come out of addiction, I guess, but you come off your substance. I went through rehab. You guys did too. We'll get to that. You know, I guess you think you want forgiveness from those around you that you've hurt, you've lied to, you've stolen from, or worse. But also, how much have you guys found you've had to forgive yourselves for all the things that the shitty things that you've done? Because I did a whole lot of shitty things, and I can kind of compartmentalize and go, well, that wasn't the real me. But if I'm to be honest and look in the mirror, I've got to go, well, I still did those things. And so to what degree do you have to forgive yourselves, and how's that going?
Well, for me, that's probably was a huge pillar of my part of recovery. So what drew me in mainly for my meth use was obviously the ex had his accident, but we had tried it before then. It was more the accident came, this helps him to be able to get up and move. So for me it was, this is going to be able to keep me working full time, staying awake, staying alert. But then I quickly didn't like sleeping, which I still don't. I still have that carried through now. But it became very attractive for me to have something that would keep me going, because I'm a doer, and oh fuck, you know, now I don't have to go to sleep. Shit, I can get this, this, and this, and this done. So that part was really attractive. So yeah, for the beginning that was huge, and it sort of spiraled from that, because it went to, like, I owned a house at this point. We weren't having money issues either, so that wasn't a problem. It was just if the bro wasn't there or wasn't shouting up, sweet, we'll buy some, cool, buy more. And then it did become a bit of an issue when me and that ex separated, and then we both ended up with violent partners, and then mine had got locked up, so then I had to take over and start selling, because, you know, the police had taken a lot of money and drugs and shit like this, and I ended up getting locked up.
Oh, so you started
blah, blah, blah,
you started
but
selling. So you moved from using
Yeah,
then into
yeah.
dealing.
Yeah.
Or both?
Yeah, well, so a guy I'd got with, he was a
okay.
dealer anyway, so I was already like
Okay.
helping with the money side of things, let's just say, without going to like
Yes,
saying
yes.
the whole life sort of shit. But I would keep track of things, make sure shit was still there, go with him and make sure, you know, everything's accounted for, yada yada yada. So when he got locked up, it was very easy for
can
me
do
to
it.
be like, oh well, fuck, I've just taken all this money, I better take over and start paying back what now we owe, as well as, you know, other people are waiting and etc. So then I quickly learned, well, shit, actually, I'm a girl. I can't really do this by myself. Like, it's not really working that easy. So then that's when other people sort of had to come on board for me to have help and shit. But to go back to the original question about self-forgiveness, so I ended up cheating on my partner of 10 years, which was fucking huge guilt for me, like, absolutely horrendous, and that took me many years to get through. Like, there's still a smidgen of guilt, maybe there always will be, because it was something I never expected of myself, and I'm still like, fuck, I can't believe that I did that. But that was just, yeah, a path that I ended up going down and having to, yeah, deal with for many years. And there's a lot of things that once you get clean, then you realise that you did it, if you know what I mean. It's not like you're living in that world, using and shit, going, oh, fuck, I've fucked them over, I've hurt them, or whatever. So when you get clean, it's like this big fucking rain and downpour of, oh, what about this? What about this? What about that? So, yeah, you get a bit of guilt that takes a bit of self-forgiveness, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how long was it? How long were you in the throes of, I guess, a meth addiction?
It was a good probably 4 years, I think. because I did try at the end once I had got arrested and ended up getting locked up. That's when I was like, well, fuck, I better sort my shit out. So I did try to get clean myself and like got bailed to my mum's house, which was amazing and a great, huge, help with Pillar and things like that. But it was the rehab that I needed, because after, 2 months or even 6 weeks, the scariness as such of jail and shit soon wore off, and it was soon at the point of fuck, this is
I want to use it
not doable. And because I was on 24/7 curfew, so I was just sitting.
So that wasn't a fear of incarceration. Whereas for you, Cole, Danyon, I heard you talk about the fact that you were sitting in a paddy wagon heading off to jail. Was it something like that? You were sort of like, it was at a rock bottom for you. What got you guys to rehab? Because you got to want to be there to actually make it work.
Yeah, and I think that's the big difference between Cole and I and our story. So for me, I've been in and out of institutions since I was young. So in and out of boarding schools, health camps, foster homes, all that type of jazz, juvie. So in 2012, I was sitting in prison. I think it was over the Christmas and New Year period. And I was just starting to realise that like a lot of these guys that I was in the youth unit with in the Christchurch Men's Prison, the guys that I was in the foster homes with, that I was in the boarding schools with, and they were all in the same place. And it was almost like a spiritual awakening for me. I'm like, fuck this, there must be another way. And at the time, my mum, she ended up, because she's in recovery as well, she was in rehab, and she said, I'm in rehab, I'm getting sober and all of that. And I didn't even really realise that was possible. I literally believed that just getting wasted and high was my life, and there wasn't any other option. So when I was introduced to that stuff through my mum, and then I went into rehab out of prison and started going to these meetings and stuff like that, I was spinning out, because like I used to see these meetings on fucking movies and that, all holding hands and shit like this. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it just spun me right out for a long time. But like, I wouldn't be here today without those meetings, without the rehab, without the foundation that I built. I didn't stay clean from that moment. I've relapsed a lot. I've done about 3 years of rehabs altogether. So I'd kind of build up clean time, you'd call it, and then just burn the fucker to the ground, because I didn't have enough self-love. I didn't back myself enough, and I think that that's really important to, for me anyway, is actually learning who I am as a person, and really pouring the love that I felt like I didn't get when I was younger into the present moment. And I think that's what's kept me to get to where I'm at today.
And we haven't talked about the documentary these guys were on, which was called Life After Meth, which we'll put a link up to, because it's pretty heavy. Harrowing would be a good word. But I heard you say that being in the throes of it for you, Danyon, was like being in the depths of hell, and the only way out was basically one step at a time, 1 foot after another. So that involved relapses. It involved going back to rehab. It was longer. Whereas, for me with alcohol, I seemed to have nailed it after my first stint in rehab, and that was 15 years ago. You never know what's going to happen, so I don't take that for granted. But I think the majority of people who go through rehab, the experience is relapse. Does it still feel like one foot after another, even all these years later?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I work with a lot of guys, like I'm an apprentice chef, but that's my trade. I'm nearly qualified, but in my spare time, and a lot of time, I spend a lot of the time on the phone with men that are struggling. I'm a real passionate advocate for men's mental health, and I think a big common theme with that is what I need to constantly remind myself of, like sometimes it is just 1 minute at a fucking time. All those cliche sayings that I've heard through meetings and that I thought were a load of shit, it is all starting to make sense now. Like, for me, it is really important to, even right now, to stay in the present moment. I'm talking to you guys, because my head, it goes a fucking 100 miles an hour. I've got 100 radio stations playing all at the same time. There's
the ADHD thing too, which is interesting, because I don't know about you, Cole. We're both ADHD. You are too. There's always that thread of everyone we talked about addiction has probably got ADHD.
Oh, fuck. A nightmare.
Far out.
Sometimes got to have 3 things going just so that the brain can just
so how long,
sit a little bit.
each time that you went into rehab, how long was the stay? Did you go, was it 1 month, was it 2 months, 3 months? And, how did you get in there for starters? Because they're not cheap, or they government funded, or what's the situation with that?
Yeah, so probably around 80% of my rehab was government funded. The 20% was this amazing couple, Paul and Wendy. They actually seen a bit of my stuff on social media back in the day and saw that I was struggling, kind of heard my message, and they actually paid out of their own pocket for me to go to this private rehab, which I'm fucking forever grateful. I wasn't ready at the time, and like I said, I've relapsed after that. However, there has been a lot of people out there through my addiction, regardless of all the shit that I've done, that really saw something in me that I couldn't see at the time. But rehabs can be really challenging to get into, especially now more than ever, I'd imagine. I wouldn't know too much, obviously, over the last 5 years or so. But there's massive waiting lists to them. And I think for me, the waiting lists were the most dangerous part, because it's like I'm going to get fucking absolutely fucked up until I get in there. Now I'm going to ride myself off, and I feel that
You're a heathen, eh?
A real, and Cole can
you're an absolute
relate to that.
Well, you're not
as well.
That's why we're sitting here talking.
But is it what's really interesting? This is why I don't think if I think I was a proper full blown addict, I would have needed to go to rehab. There's not. I don't know if there's many people that can just I did meth pretty much every day. Well, not every day, but yeah, all sorts of drugs. Whether it was I wasn't into LSD or any of those things, but anything that came along, weed. What's the one that makes you happy? Can't remember now.
MDMA.
Oh, MDMA. Speed and meth, for a couple of years, easy, from 2004 to 2005, easy.
But isn't the definition
and coke?
Isn't the definition of addiction, or whether it be alcoholism, whatever, is how much of a negative impact it is having on your life? And it sounds like it would have eventually had a really bad impact on your life. So whether or not you could pick it up and leave it,
and
I think
before everything.
Yeah, but that's
something was driving you to continue to use.
Yeah, but when you're using that much, like I was, why is it that some people are able to go, you know what, I need to stop, and I've never touched meth again, and I would never ever touch that. Have I used other substances? Have I smoked a bit of weed or whatever in between from 2006 or 7 or whatever it is when I stopped to now? Yeah, but I'll never go down that track again. And now I don't touch anything. But it's always interested me that why some people are able to go, you know what, it's time to stop, and why other people, it takes them a long time to get off. So is it you're just mentally tough? Is it I don't know.
It could be a physiological thing.
That's what I'm saying. So what is it?
I think it's a soul journey thing, to be honest. I think it, for me and my views and the way I am within life, I think it's whether you're meant to go down that path that deep or not. Clearly you didn't deserve to lose your good, wonderful parts of you and your TV life.
I don't know wonderful, but
for me, I need to go.
Did you find that were you obviously in touch with your spirituality before you got into this? Have you always
before, during, and after. During was fucking hectic because I didn't know what I was tapping into. I didn't know if I was seeing something that was real or not real, or sleep deprived, or what was going on.
Even now, not so much now, but in the documentary, I don't know if this is overstepping, but it seems like there's a sadness to you. Is that correct perception?
Yeah, that's definitely a correct perception. For me, a lot of people say, oh, good on you, well done, you should be so proud, yada, yada, yada. I'm not at that phase. I don't know if I ever will be proud as such, because I see it as so I should have. What do you mean good on me for getting clean? Fuck, mate, I smoked a whole house in my Skyline vehicle and shit. Good on me. I've always taken it as, so I should have. Yeah, it's not good enough that I done it and went that far anyway. I'm always goal driven, and it's been massive for me to sit back and then go into renting a house and things like that I never thought I would be doing.
So we, going into talking about sobriety rather than the recovery side of things, you talk, Cole, a bit about, I guess, the expectation versus the reality of what sobriety is. And when you first come out, and you in the documentary, you talk about you're looking at ducks in the pond and the sun's bright and everything's like magical and mystical and rainbows and unicorns or whatever. And then that kind of wears off, and the reality of like life still happens. You start to have an experience and have to deal with the emotions that you used to be able to push away with a drug. So it's kind of harder, and you don't have the drug to go back to. And life just by nature is up and down and shitty and good and all those sorts of things. And when you're on a substance for a long period of time, or any period of time, there's an arrested development where you stop learning how to process normal human emotion and those sorts of things. Like, so what has sobriety been like, and has it been disappointing? Are you glad you're here? What are the regrets?
There's definitely been disappointment with it. Like, I'm definitely 100% glad I'm here and not going to look back, and that sadness that we referred to before, that's a part that I think I will eventually get through, but I need to just get a little bit further in life and within myself to let go of the sadness of it all, because I'm still disappointed and working on a lot within. And then currently my mum's not very well, so going through that, which of course then the brain comes in and goes, oh, everyone would understand. This would be a great time to relapse, but because I got out of rehab and haven't had to go back in or whatever, I've taken the right steps as such. Luckily for me, I wasn't in and out of rehab all my life. But it's definitely hard to then have to feel things and deal with things. But not only that, you've then got a whole new world. You know what I mean? Like, you go into that crack world for so long that you get immersed in it. So when you get clean and then you come out into this real world, and it's like, shit, I didn't have to deal with all this stuff before. So there's a lot more.
And you mentioned also comparing your worst day sober to your worst day using. Like, there's, for you and for me too, there's just no comparison. So I think when you can look at it like that, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and there's definitely always a lot of real bad times from addiction that you can just go back to in your mind to keep, showing you why you're on this track and why you don't even want to entertain.
Yeah, and I guess when you look at sobriety and the things you've got to lose, one of those big things would be your relationship. And we touched on that at the beginning, and they always say, I remember in rehab, don't get into relationships with people in rehab. And it's so easy to do because your emotions are big and you're feeling and you're recovering and you want to help and you want to be helped and all that sort of stuff. And they say, don't. And you guys have, and it's working. But how codependent, if I may ask, do you guys think you are? And how heavily does both of your sobriety rely on each other and being in a relationship? Does that scare you, or are you cool with it?
Yeah, no, so at the beginning of our relationship, to be honest with you, I was a total piece of shit. I was very insecure. I have been a very insecure person over my life. I didn't feel worthy of Cole, I didn't feel worthy of fucking anything, man, so what I did, and it spun Cole out at the beginning of our relationship, I booked us in for relationship counselling, like it seems a bit out of it.
No, that's cool. Wait, bro, that's so like out the gate smart, because like if you were feeling like you were like insecure and stuff, I hope you spoke to her about it, or did you just come home and say, hey, we're going to counselling?
Oh, we spoke about it all day. I don't fucking know.
We're going to counselling. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so so it got pretty deep pretty quickly, and within one of those sessions, I lost my shit at the counsellor. Like, he's a good friend of mine, and he was back then as well, but I kind of lost my shit because he triggered me, said something that I didn't like regarding my insecurities. And then Cole and I broke up for a little bit, and I think over those months or however long it was, I went back into a bit of old behaviour, F the world and everything, and I was hanging out with one of my good bros that unfortunately is no longer here anymore, and I got clean again, and then not long after that, I was at work and had a missed call from the bro's mum, and it wasn't a good phone call, and I was literally over at my mate's house staring at him in a coffin. And for me, that just really, and Cole knew him quite well as well. He's done a lot of my tattoos and stuff. Like, I'd consider him, and another friend of mine, Georgia, that took her life as well. They're both very close friends to mine, and I've seen them both in coffins. So for me, that type of stuff really cemented my recovery. But going back to the relationship side of it, I feel at the beginning it was really, on my end, really unmanageable. Cole said, enough's enough, I'm fucking out of here, basically, which I don't blame her. And then after me kind of doing a bit of work and admitting my wrongdoings, we got back together. But it hasn't been a smooth sailing. But for me, the way I look at it now is the more inwards I go, the more work I do on myself, the more I hold myself accountable, and I'm around honest people that pick me up. The better version I am for Cole, the better version I am for myself. Because at the end of the day, our relationship is built on independency. It's definitely not codependent. It's like the complete opposite. And I feel that that's really important, because codependency is something in the past, for past relationships that I've been in, it doesn't end well, man. Like, it goes really bad, really quick a lot of the time. So for us, I feel we're definitely very independent.
You said something there that really resonated with me. It's like honesty. I think if you don't have honesty, that's the pillar. That's the one thing that you have to have. Like across the board, I think in life, in general, I think if you can be completely honest with yourself first, you have to be honest with yourself first, right? Because you can't be honest with anybody else if you're not honest with yourself, right? And so just what you said there, like, to me, just really resonated, and hence why you guys are, you're still together, obviously. It looks like going from strength to strength.
And also sometimes in life, you've got to take a gamble. Like, why would you give up the possibility of love with your soulmate just because, a therapist says, well, statistics tell you it shouldn't work. Like, sometimes you just got to do it, right? Like, if you'd listened to every single step, you wouldn't be together.
I was actually sent into rehab from my counsellor. When I was sent into rehab with my counsellor, it actually sent me in with this A4 laminated bit of paper, and it was a slide, so a child's slide, but it turned into a cheese grater, and it had a kid going down the slide. But then it had the slogan, getting into a relationship and early recovery. She's like, take this with you into rehab, man. And I was like, oh, I know, I'm going to meet someone in there, whatever. So then when we met, I was like, oh, we'll just hide the little bit of paper over here. But it was cool because we had the same counsellor in St. Mark's, and as much as obviously they're very against it and would never allow it, they don't even allow you to pair off and spend, too much time with one person, whatever.
Is that boy or
we
girl?
were able to be on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They just don't allow you to be pairing
so
off.
So when you go into, because a lot of people obviously haven't been to rehab before, so when you go to rehab, do you stay in a separate room, or are you not you guys, but like, yeah. Oh, you've got to do it straight away. You
No, we don't.
No, good on you. No, shit, yeah.
Definitely not.
No, but you go in and does each person have their own room? Or is it okay?
I didn't. I had to share.
Oh, you had to share.
Not
okay.
necessarily, no. And you can work your way up. Yeah. Like, I was in the woman's house, so there was a couple of rooms that were sharing and one that wasn't. Yeah. So you start with sharing. Then when someone graduates, you can take the room.
It's kind of weird though, there, because
yourself.
Like if everybody's sort of you're sharing a room. Obviously, it's girl on girl and guy or whatever, but it sort of promotes you getting close to other people, right?
Well, you're in a confined space anyway. You're doing
so.
That's
Like,
right.
how do they expect you to stay? Like they don't like you.
Well, they sort of run it as a therapeutic community
nice.
Anyway, so they like you to all sort of work off each other, just
I get you,
singularly, I guess. But we also didn't live together for 2 years, which I just want to chuck out there, because I think a lot of people rush into that side of things. Like, not to put Danyon down or anything, like I had faults too, but a big part I was like, oh, fuck that, if we live together, I need to be able to, fuck this, I'm going home, you'll see you later, So that was a big
No, I
saviour.
think
No,
I think
not
you've really,
rushing that.
that's really smart, and it's onto it because you like that leads to codependency as well. And you come home, and then you can get real. Everything becomes mundane and stale and stuff like that. So if you can build your relationship and live separately, it's quite neat to be able to go.
Yeah,
Like, mate, thank God you're leaving here after this. Like far.
That is neat.
Do you know what I'm saying? Not that we're in a relationship, Jesus Christ. Go there. But I get it. Yeah.
Your space is
In terms of what you guys have done in terms of turning your lives around, so Danyon, you're is it next week or next month you're qualifying as a chef?
The 1st of May is my last physical assessment. So after that it'll be level 3 and level 4.
And how long has that taken? How long has that taken, bro?
Bro, it's taken too long because I started off at this company here in Blenheim, the Marlborough Clubs it's called, and they signed me up. I'm sure they were I'm pretty sure they screwed me over, but they basically, I was working there for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden they gave me 5 days notice to find another job, and they went under. So that for me was a real test of like, do I want to actually be a chef or do I not? I was already kind of in communication with the place that I'm at now because I wasn't really liking that place anyway. And I went and transferred my apprenticeship over there, and I've been there over 2.5 years now. So it's about 2 years, 9 months.
And how long is it supposed
roughly.
to take? A couple of years?
A couple of years, I think. Yeah, but the guy Joseph that I do it with. He's like my tutor. He's amazing, man. Like if I didn't have someone like that believed in me and was able to like even my former general manager and my general manager at the moment at my job, like they all know about my past. They've both seen life after meth. I'm very open and honest, man, and I think that's the key to how I got into a corporate. Like I work for a hotel, man, and I've done some amazing things through that hotel. Like they've paid for like a $5,000 scholarship in leadership for me, and they've done a lot, man, and it's still continuing. So I think honesty is the key. But so less than a month and I'll
mate, that's so cool.
I want to then speak to Cole about what Cole's doing, but also just quickly, what with regards to being on the documentary, talking to us now, like what makes you want to put this out there and share it? Because it's personal, it's private, there's elements of shame and embarrassment. Obviously, there's more things to be proud of than not, but what compels you to be out there sharing your guys' journey?
Okay. So I guess for me...
you're both really good.
You're both better than us.
I think it's really important to just... to have hope, man. Like, and for me, I feel it's another one of those cliche kind of things. I can only keep what I have by giving it away, and what I mean by that is sharing my experience, sharing the raw depths of hell that I've been through. The fact that, bro, I shouldn't even be here, man. I'm a suicide survivor. I've hung off a ceiling. I've stabbed myself. I've done some horrendous shit to myself, but I'm still here. So for me, from my heart, like my main kind of goal, and it's men and women, but like I'm a men's mental health advocate. I'm very passionate about helping men, and if I can just stop one guy from taking their life from sharing my experience, then I've done my job, man. My purpose here on this earth is served. And I don't like talking about the fact that I would steal off people and help them look for it, and that I was a piece of shit. But the reality of it is, I know a lot of people can relate to that, and I feel once we're honest about it, and once we fucking own it, and I was a fucking piece of shit, but that's not me now. That does not define me. I'm a fucking good person, and I back myself, and I feel.
I tell you what, you're more of a piece of shit if you're somebody who judges that and doesn't give space for redemption. That's being a piece of shit.
Yeah. Bro, and you just radiate a really good energy, man. Like it's seriously, like in all honesty, you've got a really nice energy. Like what's pouring out of you is a really good thing. You can feel it through the screen. It's really cool. And same goes, like you guys should be so proud of yourselves that you've pulled yourselves out of the depth of oblivion, really.
And we're not going to let Cole get away without telling us about.
But I just wanted to get that out there, because
that's nice.
Look at them; they're smiling away. When they first came on, they were like, "Jesus," and now they're beaming.
I even said to Danyon, I was like, I'm going to try so hard to not have my resting bitch face this whole time. I'm really bad at that. I look shitty all the time, and I'm not.
That's so cool. My resting bitch face. I think so.
I got one of those.
Apparently I've got an upside down smile. You know, like, so I've got to be aware of that. You know,
I've got these things, but only half mine does.
Are you upside down smile? What? Hey, shit, where do I get one of those from? What are you talking about? Oh, fuck, I have to.
Hey, so Cole, going back to you've spoken about being super goal orientated, and that's because you've always explained to me that having something to run from, something to run to, and something to run with, which you've talked about before. What does that all mean?
Yeah. So for me, there's been a powerful thing with the addiction, because getting clean and with the house having gone, like the fact I owned a house when I was 18 and it's meant to be, you know, one of the youngest freehold in New Zealand and all of this sort of shit. So I had a business going on, so I already had goals at that point in life to where I was going. So then when I started using, of course, I had even bigger and better goals, and I was going to accomplish all these other fucking wonderful things that clearly I didn't. But once I sort of lost all of that, I soon realised that having all of those goals and everything is super important. But if I've got nothing that I'm running from, I don't want to fuck out with goals or not meet any, and then, oh no, I'm back to there. So I sort of always needed something to be running from, to not go back to that as such. And I'm always wanting to, I guess, learn, grow. I don't know what the word is, entrepreneur, I suppose. So like at the moment I've been doing the stock market, so day trading, just coming up 2 years deep. It's the longest I've ever spent having to fucking learn something. Normally I'm a fast learner.
Yeah, so you do day trading every day? Oh, good on you.
Yeah, yep, most days.
Oh, because you need to be up. You need to be up at night, because the markets in the States are it's completely different, eh?
Yeah, which I like.
Well, it's just as long as you're not on that
anyway,
little friend of ours.
That's fine. No, that's right. That's where the brain's like, well, that wasn't fucking helpful. Then I wouldn't be falling asleep mid-train.
No. Oh, that's not funny. I shouldn't even joke about that. But
you have to laugh.
No, it is funny.
You know,
it's true.
You do. You've got to take the piss out of yourself. You literally have to take the piss out of yourself and be able to like confront yourself and go, "Yep, I was a full-blown loser," and be like own up to it. It's like it's all the things that I see now with, you know, the people that I know or that are going through similar sorts of things that, you know, haven't come out the other side yet, have had a lot of help, but are still struggling with it. The main thing is that they're not honest with themselves, and like until you can get to that point where you can look in the mirror and you can go, "Hey, I'm a piece of shit. I gotta do it." You can lead a horse to water. You can give them all the advice. You can give them all the financial resources, you know, mental resources, you know, your energy, everything. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's just, you know, like only you can get off. Only you can get off. Only I could get off. Like you got to do this journey on your own. So we come into the world on our own. We leave on our own. And all the hard shit you actually have to do on your own. But it's so rewarding when you pop out the other side, right? Because then you can give yourself that little pat on the back and go, yeah, I've actually, even though it's, you know, like you've achieved something really great because you were going down a dark hole and you would have died eventually, like we all would have, right? But to pull yourself out of that is a real accomplishment. And you were saying before, oh, no, it's not, I was already, but it actually is. So, you know, like, there's another congratulations. Yeah, truly.
Advice for younger selves. Do you think there's anything anyone could have told you or you could tell your younger self now that would have prevented this, or was it always just meant to be what it was?
Oh, I definitely don't think I could have prevented it. No way. Like, I did have someone who had said to me, shit, you know, I knew you were sort of dabbling with that at the start. I should have said something. And I was like, nah, man, like, no way. Like, I was just getting started. There was no way that at that point saying anything to anyone would have done anything other than cause a whole heap of drama,
exactly.
you know.
And you seem
cause
fairly strong-minded. You wouldn't want to get on the right. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you, mate.
Yeah. I can't. Sometimes I can't even entertain certain ideas around it.
Holy shit! Oh, get that crash helmet on. Hey, babe. Yep. Oh. No, it's awesome. No, but that's awesome. You know, like it's so good to have strong women. You know, and obviously strong men. You know, but it's bloody cool, real cool. Guys, we got anything else like?
Well, I was going to say, what advice would you guys have for
definitely
people struggling in the throes of it now?
I said again because I interrupted. Sorry.
That's okay. Would you guys have any particular advice for anyone in the throes of it, struggling with their addiction, whether it be meth or anything like that? You can speak to meth clearly, but also family members of.
I think a big thing to realize, like from my own kind of experience and journey, is that you have to make a choice. Like we all have choices, you know, and I had plenty of reasons to not give up and change my life, and you know, I could have sat in that pity party with all the streamers and balloons, but like Reggie said, like no one's coming to save me, and no one's going to get me out of the hole that I put myself in. And I guess for people that have family of people that are struggling, the most unfortunate part of it is sometimes is you have to wait until they show up for themselves. Like there's nothing that anyone could have done in my life that would have changed the course of my path. Like there were definitely parts that were implemented to know that I was loved and supported, but I didn't love and support myself, so I couldn't take that. I couldn't take that in. I didn't believe it. So for me, I think it's really important to sometimes just keep having hope, keep having faith that these loved ones or partners or whatever it may be, they will hopefully eventually hit that rock bottom and start to create change and within themselves, you know. But it's I could only imagine, you know, like I couldn't even imagine what it's like to be sitting in a house right now waiting for that phone call, you know, because that's exactly what my mum was waiting for, you know, is that phone call to come to the morgue or come to the police station and you know, identify me. So I really feel for people that are caught in this thing they call addiction, you know. But what I've kind of dissected over the years is a lot of it is escaping reality. And once I kind of figured that out, that it wasn't just blaming the meth or blaming the alcohol, blaming the substance itself, I didn't want to be here on this realm, so I'll take all this other shit to get me out of here. So you know, I'm now in reality, and I love it. I still have hard moments, but
I sometimes think, and I think now, like the four of us as we are now, none of us would be or exist or present the way that we do now. Like these versions of us wouldn't exist if we hadn't been through what we are. Like would be something else. But it's almost sad to think,
100%.
for me, that the person I am now, which is a way better person than I was even before addiction or before alcohol, I wouldn't have become who I am now, and I like who I am now. So I guess that's a really positive way to look at it.
I totally agree. I think too with like families that are going through it, because there is, I don't want to put meth users into categories, but there is like different categories as such and different types, you know. Like my mum could leave her wallet on the bench. There's no way in fuck I'm taking $50 out of your wallet, whatever. But I think that families do need to be careful around their support, because from what I can see and have heard, families put in so much, like for my family, for example, love and want to help fix it and make it better. It can set them up for pain if the other person isn't ready or isn't going to. And like, you know, I've seen a situation where someone had said to me, should I be skeptical with this user who's now clean, coming back into this life, blah, 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 you know, and is it fair, or should I just be 100% chances? And I said, well, honestly, actually, yeah, you should be skeptical. Yeah, like, and there's no shame in that for a family member to be a little bit skeptical and on edge and keep themselves safe from it, because being in that world, it's not just about who you become, but who you surround yourself with. So, like, I had certain friends of mine that I just stopped going and visiting, stopped seeing, because it was like, fuck, I don't want to bring my crowd anywhere near you. I don't want them to know I know you, you know. So I think it's important for families to not be hard on themselves too with how they support, and obviously don't go and give them $50 if it's a loaf of bread that they're wanting, then get the bread rather than the money.
Exactly.
You know?
It's funny you say that. It's
support.
like, it's almost like if you need to provide them, you know, with financial support, then you, instead of giving them cash, you give them vouchers for the supermarket, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, otherwise it's just enabling. Well, even then, some people will go swap a voucher for a bag. I certainly had people turn up with all sorts. With their mum's credit card. Will you take this? Fuck no, I won't take your mum's card. Mate. But good try.
Wow.
You know, so.
Hey guys, like, I don't know about you, but like, it's been really, really amazing to sit here and talk with you guys and just see you open up and be so open and so honest. And, you know, the journey that you've both been on is like obviously been harrowing, but you're coming out the other side, and it looks like you're about to kick some goals.
When are you getting married? What's the date?
The famous question, eh? Well, we didn't even have an engagement party.
Okay. You're in trouble.
Yeah. I think it all just comes down to the right timing, but it's definitely on the horizon.
And I think too, we're good at not traditionally going with pressure, if you know what I mean. Like, we could never get married if we really wanted. Like, of course we are going to, but there's definitely been no pressure around, fuck, we've got to be married in 5 years, it's got to be this date, let's start saving. Like, for me, I don't want to be a bridezilla, so if we talk about anything too much and it feels stressful, I'm like, right, next subject, no, I don't want to, you know.
And it doesn't have to be a big expensive thing either, man. Like, it's, you know, it's not about that. It's about the commitment. It's about the words you say to one another. And
just enjoy it.
Yeah, and just go with the flow. And when it's right, it's right.
Yeah. And we can only be engaged once, so
can we,
do
Matthew?
that for as long as possible. We can enjoy it.
You've been engaged a few times.
No, I haven't.
Haven't you?
Well, I've been married a few times. It's not about me.
One follows the other.
Hey, guys, like, I don't know, but it's just been, thank you so much. It feels like a real privilege. Well, it is. It has been a real privilege.
Thank you for sharing, because the pain isn't ever truly gone. So to be able to speak about it openly, share it with us, like, you could choose anyone to speak to, and you've chosen us. So thank you guys both very, very much.
Yeah, no, it was real cool. Lovely to meet you, and we'll be nice.
We'll be at your wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck, you.
Awesome, man.
I'll take this in 10 years' time.
Much love, guys. Bye.
Much love, guys. Take care. Thank you.